Hi, it's Dorothy Guinan with Scrapbooking Quebec. In this video, I'm going to share the layouts and projects I created for the Crop and Create Delivered Papercrafting event in November 2022. Also, at the end of this video, I'll talk about my December YouTube plans. For Crop and Create, I made 24 pages, a mini album, a shadow box insert, and 8 cards. This is a 3-day online Scrapbook and Cards Today event with classes and tons of inspiration. About 3 weeks before, this box arrived on my doorstep with all the material. The teachers were Vicky Booten, Paige Evans, Jana Eubank, and more. They were really leaders in the scrapbooking world. I signed up for this about 6 months in advance, and the cost for me in Canada with tax and shipping was $316. I think there were over 1,100 people registered from around the globe. Before the share, I just want to mention a few things. At the end of this video, there will be still shots, so you will get a second look at all of these projects. Also, I did cover up some of the photos. So without further ado, let's get started. These first 2 pages, it was a class by Jess Foster. It was one of the mini classes, and she is a pocket page expert. I don't do pocket pages, so what I did was I adapted it and put it on top of cardstock so I can place it in my album. So that's that bright pink paper you see from behind there. That is from my stash, and I selected bright pink way outside of my comfort zone to coordinate with that photo in the top left that says Crop and Create. Once again, that's the box that was shipped to my house. Really, really fun, full of material. And those photos basically are documenting my weekend with my friend Bernadette. We spent the weekend together. It was so much fun. So that was a mini class by Jess Foster. The next pages I'm going to show you was a class. It was made with what they call the attendee kit. So in this kit, there was a bunch of different material. And this class was given by Virginia Nebel. I did 5 pages with it. Hers were really 4, but one of them you're going to see a little bit later on. I stretched it into a double page spread. This one she taught as a double page class. I did switch it up a bit to make it work for me. Basically, that pale green paper that you see there, she had it all the way across. What I did was I added some white cardstock from my stash just to make the page a little bit more me. Also, her photos were backed in brightly colored, kind of printed paper. That as well wasn't really my style, so I simply replaced it with some navy cardstock. And the paper that I didn't use, well, it's beautiful paper, so I will have it for other projects. But I did use her page design and I absolutely loved it. I did incorporate a few extra photos. You're going to see that in a minute. I created a little flap here. I often do that on my layout. So there I'm just showing it to you right there. But aside from that, it's basically her page design. That was really, really fun. The second layout she taught in her, I think it was a 3-hour class. I could be mistaken. It might have been a 2-hour class. I forget. Anyway, it was this grid layout here. Now, I did switch it up a bit on a few levels. Number 1, she had 3 blocks at the top and 3 blocks at the bottom. I had larger photos, so I simply had to adapt the grid to work with my photos. Also, her paper, I added white on top. The backdrop, the main part of the backdrop of her layout was that yellow paper that I used in the back of my frame, and I simply added some of that white cardstock from my stash. Again, just to make it more me, but that was the second layout we did, and we did do a third layout in that class as well. In a minute, you'll see it. And basically for the third class, which eventually I will show you here, it was a single page layout, but I had more photos, so I adapted it into a double page spread. Now, in doing so, I ended up switching up quite a bit of the page design, but a lot of what she had on her original page I did incorporate. The funnest thing was that word wheel you see that I have placed over on the bottom right. That's what I'm pointing out right now. We created that. She showed us how to on the live video with a bunch of different word stickers, and you often see those on those 12 by 12 sticker sheets that come in collection packs. So she showed us how to use them all up on one fantastic embellishment. So that was really, really fun. So now what I'm going to do is show you the pages that I created in another class. This was another one of the big classes. It was Megan Andrews, and she used material from close to my heart. And her class, the idea was talking about contrast. So we created this one here with those beams, which were really fun. I think I made a mistake because hers went right to the bottom of the page and mine didn't. So I probably made a mistake when I was cutting, but nevertheless, I'm very happy with the results. This particular page pack, which was enough to do a few pages, you'll see the other ones in a moment, also incorporated dies and stamps. So obviously, we used up the consumables, but left over, we have stamps, those star stamps there, as well as coordinating die. So that was fun. I'm also showing you right there as well. She showed us how to create a little pocket so we could add some hidden journaling on the layout. Now here's another double page spread that she created as part of the class. I switched it up once again to reflect my style a little bit. Basically what I did here was I added that white cardstock and that gray cardstock. She had brighter colors there. What was really predominant in hers was a teal color, which was really beautiful, but I'm more used to using white backgrounds, so I simply switched it up with my own cardstock. I also added that gray cardstock like I mentioned, and what I have left over, I can create a page 2 with it for the page I just showed you a moment ago, or I can incorporate it in my stash. So it was all beautiful stuff. It's just that I wanted to make these layouts reflect me while still learning something and using the designs from all of these instructors. Now we're changing instructors. These were the pages that Vicki Boutin taught us how to create. And in her class, which was 3 hours long, I think, we did 6 pages. So we did this double page spread here. Her class was about stenciling. I'm pointing out my very wimpy stenciling. She did it in pink and yellow, 2 ink colors that were also part of this kit. I found them too bright for me. I'm not used to using so many colors on a layout. I'm pretty much a wimpy pattern paper person, I guess you could say. But anyway, I changed up the ink for blue, which made it a bit more subtle. She had 2 different layers of stencils because there were 2 different stencils in our box. I only ended up using one, but I absolutely love it actually. And I think I added more photos on this page than what her design called for. And once again, I changed up the photo mats. So her photo mats were colorful, and I simply switched it up for navy blue, I think was there. But again, the colorful paper that I didn't use, I will use elsewhere. And I actually did on some of these other layouts. So here's another double page spread we did as part of Vicki's class. Again, I added more photos. I switched up the photo mats, but essentially it's more or less the same thing. I think I changed up the embellishments a bit because when we receive material for each one of these classes, we receive full embellishment pack. So maybe she uses flowers and I use a sunshine or something like that. The idea is we have a lot of choice within these class kits. I also switched up that blue cardstock that you see on the far left. That was used with some star paper, I seem to recall. I used that blue cardstock, which once again was found in my class kit. So anyway, and the paper that I didn't use, like I said, will just go in my stash and go on to other projects. Here's another page we created as part of Vicki's class. This one here, I switched up the paper. The main part of the paper that you see there was a different paper in her class. However, the paper I used was in the kit. I just simply used that instead of what she used because it worked better with the photos. I also more or less copied her design, especially that title there over on the left. I absolutely love that. I added 1 extra photo. Her page had 2, mine has 3. Here's the last one we did with Vicki. Once again, I followed her design quite closely, but what I switched up here was I ended up adding 3 photos. She had 2, and because she had more space there, that orange paper was kind of backed underneath her photo. So I just simply added that orange paper up in my little border between the large border at the top and the photo strip at the bottom. Now we are changing classes again, and this one is a Becky Adams class. Now, this was considered a mini class. On the video, she showed us how to create this layout that I'm showing you on the screen right now. There's an interactive element with this nice big flap so we could add more photos in there. That was really fun. Now, the mini classes were not written in the instruction booklet that we were given with our material, and you'll see a photo of that booklet later on in the video. But the mini classes, we were sent PDFs. So Becky, what I'm still showing you here, did that one I showed you a moment ago on video. But the 2 pages I'm showing you now, this being the first one of 2, these were also included on her PDF. So she gave us written instructions on how to create these 2 pages, but she didn't do them on video. However, her class kit had all of the material to create these pages. So I created 3 Becky Adams pages with the class kit, but like I mentioned, only 1 was done on video. And I'm showing you there, in both of those 2 pages there, I also had hidden pockets with journaling as well, and that was one of the things that she showed us. Now I'm changing classes again, and the next one here was a big main class. It was by Paige Evans. We created 4 pages, or 2 double page spreads, and I think we're using her collection. I may be wrong. I think it's called Garden Shop. So this one here, we did it with all of these little squares. Now, I struggled with this one, I will not lie. And the problem is I went ahead, I jumped the gun, and I cut out my squares in advance, and I cut them out too small. Paige's class, all of those blocks kind of fit together, and I ended up having to measure a lot to add space between them. In the end, I do like the result. If I were to do it myself, I'd probably put 2 blue backgrounds, not 1 pink and 1 blue. But nevertheless, I was following along the class, even though I cut my squares too small, and I really do like the result. So that was it. That's a perfect example of forcing me to do something that I wouldn't normally do. Here's another one of her double page spreads. Now this was really cool. She got us to create those paint brushes by hand. She sent us a template, we cut it out, we did all of that live during the class, and she guided us on how to create this layout. What's popping out of those paint brushes are floral ephemera pieces. I absolutely love this. This is not something I would have ever come up on my own, so this was really fun to do, and it was fun because it's totally outside of my comfort zone, but it ended up being absolutely beautiful. Now we're changing collections again. This one here, or I should say changing classes, this was a mini class by Victoria Marie. This one here, her theme of her class, I believe, was asymmetry, and I'm showing you, basically I hid my journaling in a pocket, kind of Becky Adams style pocket behind that photo. Victoria had her journaling at the bottom of the page or underneath those photos somewhere. Anyway, this is using material from Pink Fresh Studio. So again, it was a mini class, really fun. Now what I'm going to show you is a mini album we created. It was one of the main classes, and Jana Eubank from Simple Stories was showing us how to do this. Now this was a huge project. Before the actual paper crafting event, there was a video to watch that was 1 hour and 40 minutes, I believe, and we had to cut out a whole bunch of paper. Basically, we had a Simple Stories collection pack along with a 6x8 paper pad, and we had to cut them up into 1,000,000 pieces. Now that sounds bad, but I must say it was quite a Zen experience, and Jana did a fantastic job guiding us along for cutting these pieces up. So basically what I'm showing you here is what she did in a 3-hour class, but keep in mind a bunch of pieces. They were all cut up and organized in a certain way that made it possible for her to give this class. I am showing you a lot of these, even in these pocket pages, have pockets that we created with pieces of paper. And inside of those pockets, there are white papers where we can put photos. There are little books. There are little cut apart sheets. Really, really fun. And some of the pages we created ourselves. The one I'm showing you right now had a pocket at the end. There's also a pocket on this side here. And all of those were kind of prepared in advance, then assembled during the class. So I'm flipping through here all of this. I'm going to say that she was an expert in giving this class. I was not able to follow along and get it done during the 3-hour time frame, even though I did all of my homework. However, I found it quite fast-paced, but the friend I was with basically followed along, so it certainly wasn't impossible. However, Jana's instructions, her written instructions, were impeccable. It was amazing. I think you can probably understand the complexity of this project. All of this was cut up, assembled, folded, glued, decorated, all of that. And she had written out impeccable instructions that were very, very easy to follow. So even though I couldn't follow along in the class, I followed along with her written instructions. And of course, there's always that video, which we can go back and visit time and time again. So she really is an expert in writing out classes because it was extremely complex and she did a very good job. So that is the mini album class by Jana Eubank. She's from Simple Stories. She also did another mini class at the beginning, the first day of the 3-day event. That's what I'm going to show you right now. And this was simply a quick class using one of the Simple Stories card kits. So we made 8 cards with this card kit from Simple Stories. These are not the type of cards I like to make, even though I am not a card maker. These kits are made with punch outs, and I'm not a huge fan of punch outs. Nevertheless, I must say it was a really fun way to start the weekend because it was an easy project. It was easy to accomplish it, and it felt like you got something done. So for that, it was a great way to start it. There was one more thing we did. We created this shadow box insert. They are by Doodlebug Designs. The shadow box wasn't part of our material. I had that myself at home, but we created that circle. Now that is not something I would have ever bought. However, I must say it was a lot of fun to do, and we did that. I think it was the very first activity we did on the Friday of our 3-day virtual event. So that was really fun. Again, something I would never have purchased, but I'm really glad I did it. It was really a lot of fun, and it's actually quite cute. Much cuter in person than I would have thought. Anyway, so that is the projects. Those are the pages I created. I hope you enjoyed this product share, or I should say project share. While showing the still shots, I want to talk a bit more about my experience at Crop and Create and my December YouTube plans. First, Crop and Create. I did not complete all of these projects during my 3-day virtual event. All classes are recorded and can be revisited with the pause button, and believe me, I did that. Also, the step-by-step instructions in the booklet that came with our material box was fantastic, well written, easy to follow. It took me about a week to complete these projects, and I did homework prior to the event. Some of it was listed in the booklet, but I also selected and printed photos in advance. I used the color photos and layout examples in the book as my guide, and I'm really glad I took the time to do this. It was time consuming. Some people create these projects without photos and add them later. That never ever works for me. So I'm really glad I took the time to select and print my photos. If I do this again, there's one thing that I'd probably do that I didn't do this time. I would read that booklet from beginning to end before the event. I think it would just help me follow along the live events a little bit more. Now on to my December YouTube plans. I hope to do 3 layout process videos. One of them is going to be for the Canadian Christmas video hop. That's in a few days. That's going to be my only Christmas themed layout on YouTube, I think. The other 2 will be December 7th and 14th. And what I would like to do for those is take a product that's kind of offbeat for me, create a collection, and then create a layout with it on YouTube. At the end of the month, I do plan to do a layout share, and what I plan to share are the pages I created in November that weren't in this layout share because I did create other pages. So I will share my November pages along with my December pages, and in that you will see Christmas themed layouts. So that is basically it. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed, I would be thrilled if you did. And if you are a subscriber, thank you very, very much. Have a wonderful December, and I will be back on December 3rd on YouTube. Bye-bye.